Hi, I'm here with Noah Diamond. I'll Say She Is by the Marx Brothers, coming up at the Fringe Festival, and we'll have Noah tell us all about it.
Well, I'll Say She Is the first of 3 Broadway musical comedies that the Marx Brothers starred in during my favorite period in their career. They were in vaudeville for 20 years, and soon after that they went on to about 20 years in film, and most of us are at least passingly familiar with their film career. But in between those 2 careers, they had a stretch as Broadway stars in the 1920s, and this is the period of their experience that has always been the most interesting to me. And the 3 shows that they did on Broadway were I'll Say She Is, The Coconuts, and Animal Crackers. Well, The Coconuts and Animal Crackers are quite well known because they were adapted and became the first 2 Marx Brothers movies. And those 2 stage musicals are also revived all the time, and they've turned up just this year, in fact, in Shakespeare festivals and regional theaters. Those are going concerns. But I'll Say She Is has been lost to history. It's never been revived, it was never adapted for film, and it hasn't been seen on stage in 90 years since the Marx Brothers themselves gave the last performance in June of 1925 in Detroit. So it's always appealed to me as this unknown entity in the Marx Brothers canon, and since early childhood and the beginning of my lifelong obsession with the Marx Brothers, I've always sort of dreamed that maybe somehow I'll Say She Is could be retrieved and revived. And over a course of about 5 years of very concerted effort, I researched it, I dug up more material than was known to survive from the original score and script, and pieced it back together as best I could, filled in the gaps when necessary with my Marxist intuition and research, and have come up for the first time in 90 years with a workable, stage-worthy score and script.
And where is it being performed?
It's being performed as part of the New York International Fringe Festival. It's going to be at the Sheen Center, the Loretto Auditorium in the Sheen Center, which is at 18 Bleecker Street, Bleecker and Elizabeth. Fringe Festival being the Fringe Festival, the performance schedule is sort of random, but that's great. It means you can definitely make it to one of these shows. It's running August 10th through the 22nd, and there are 5 performances in that range. That's to start, and you will find all the details if you want them at I'llSaySheIs.com and FringeNYC.org.
And can you tell us a little bit about who's in this show?
Yes, it's an unbelievable cast, and Trav S.D., the director and producer of I'll Say She Is, has really, among the many magic acts of Trav, has been assembling this amazing team. On stage, the cast is Melody Jane plays the ingenue, the lead role of Beauty, and the plot of I'll Say She Is revolves around Beauty's search for thrills. Melody is an incredible performer and is remarkable in the role. Everyone will love her. Then there's the 4 Marx Brothers. Seth Sheldon plays Harpo. And another cast member, Kathy Beale, says Seth has a direct line to Harpo. It's a little alarming how uncanny and, of course, how hilarious his Harpo is. Really incredible. And the same thing has to be said of Robert Pinnock, who plays Chico, also to devastating effect. And, you know, his Chico, I think, is maybe the hardest Marx Brother to impersonate. And Robert just has Chico's insolence and vehemence, and, of course, his voice and manner. Just dead on. He's wonderful. Aristotle Stamat plays Zeppo, and Zeppo is an interesting part, really, which is maybe the most shocking thing I'll say in this interview. Zeppo is an interesting part. You know, it seems kind of thankless, because in the Marx Brothers' first 5 films, Zeppo was sort of the 5th wheel in a 4-man team. You can do the math and make sense of that. Zeppo was an extra Marx Brother. He didn't really have a defined character. But in I'll Say She Is, he does. He's really the romantic lead, and part of my task in adapting it was to cut out a number of the smaller characters and combine them into Zeppo's role. So Aristotle as Zeppo has a great deal to do, doubling the challenge. He's got to be interesting and a romantic leading man, and simultaneously convey something of the essence of Zeppo, which he does with flying colors. And then the 4th little-known Marx Brother, Groucho, has the good fortune to be interpreted on stage by me. I've been playing Groucho off stage as well as on for most of my I was going to say my mature life, but that is not the right word for it. I've played Groucho a lot, but never under such exciting circumstances. And in a way, that's another adaptation. I've adapted Will B. Johnstone's book and lyrics, and I've also adapted the stage work of Groucho Marx. So that's the principal cast. And then just to quickly go through some of the other incredible people in this show, Kathy Beale, who I mentioned, plays Ruby Mintworth, the dignified dowager character who's later associated with Margaret Dumont in the Marx Brothers films. And although Dumont didn't appear with them until their next show, The Coconuts, this dowager character was a part of Marx Brothers comedy even in almost their earliest vaudeville days. Kathy is remarkable and has played the Marx Brothers dowager in other Marx Brothers pastiches in the past, and is wonderful. Bob Homeyer, C.L. Weatherstone, and Glenn Heroy all play assorted roles in the ensemble, all incredibly well. All three of these guys are superb comic actors and not only bring a lot of funny stuff and a lot of great character work to the show, but just perfectly embody that straight, stuffy world that the Marx Brothers are always bouncing against. And that is in itself a style of comedy. And then in addition to this main cast, we have a chorus of singing and dancing women who are just remarkable. It's an incredible chorus of 8, plus one featured male dancer. And, you know, they are drawn from the world of musical theater, but also from the burlesque and performance art scene. And they really do have exactly the feeling and sound and charisma of the 20s chorus line of your dreams in your head. It's exhilarating. So that's on stage. You want me to talk about the creative team behind the scenes too? There are more people in this show than than I know yet. The team that's put the show together is led by Trav S.D., director and producer and my primary collaborator behind the scenes. And if you know anything about Trav, you know that there's nobody on earth better equipped to bring this show back and make it real. Not only because he's so immersed in the background of this show and knows the Marx Brothers and the history of showbiz so well, literally wrote the book on it, he also has a comic mind that is just, remarkable and is able in rehearsal to develop new bits and gags that are incredibly funny, work incredibly well, and are somehow very much in the spirit of the Marx Brothers, but are completely new, and that describes, a lot of what goes on stage. Choreographer is Helen Burkett, Helen Pantani, as she's also known as, of the world-famous Pantani sisters, who has perfectly recreated the look of 1920s dance routines, and the spectacle of the choral numbers is just incredibly good. Musical director, arranger, and accompanist is Sabrina Chapp, who is an incredible musician. Her albums, her work is really remarkable, and we were lucky to get her. She's really taken this score that consists largely of parlor editions of the Johnstones' music and breathed life into it and made it into a beautiful, romantic, and funny score, and directed the singers so well also. Julianne Kroboth is the costume and prop designer, and that is most of the spectacle of this show. There's an incredible amount to look at, and a great deal of that is Julianne's work. I could go on and on, but...
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Let's all go see this new show, new version of I'll Say She Is.
Why not?
Why not?
Thank you, Jim.